North Beach County, it has to be in person.
It does.
Oh, maybe for our bylaws.
For our bylaws?
Right, not open meetings law, yeah.
Hi,
How are you?
good, thank you. Glad to be here.
Right.
We have-
I'm gonna see in a second, I'm just.
North Beach County, it has to be in person.
It does.
Oh, maybe for our
For
bylaws.
our bylaws?
Right, not open meetings law, yeah.
So we can turn off the audio there.
Hi,
How are you, everybody?
good, thank you. Glad to be here.
There you go. And then now we look back in our Zoom room. Awesome. Thank you, Dottie.
Can everybody hear us?
We'll see.
Yeah, I
Yes.
And Rob.
And then we have Shannon down below. Yep. Great.
All right, so who do we, we'll find out here.
Yep.
All right, so let's get started. All right, so thank you, everybody, for joining our first meeting for 2024. January, we didn't have a meeting, but this is the Hudson 7 Drinking Council hybrid monthly meeting. Right, today is Thursday, February 15th. Right, I'm Gary, the lead mayor of Rhinebeck and also chair of the Hudson 7. As you can see, we're live streaming, right? And we're going to continue to live stream since thank you to the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant for setting up the services and Dottie for making all this work and Rebecca also for driving us to make it that we can live stream. They're also recorded and they'll be uploaded onto our site after the meeting. So our in-person meetings occur here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility. Public comment is allowed both in person and if you're on remote. If you want to learn more about our rules, go to our website at www.hudson7.org, right? So in attendance tonight, we have myself, Gary Bassett, Chair, Village of Rhinebeck. And I'm gonna go in order. Elizabeth is our treasurer and supervisor for the town of Rhinebeck. And Yvonne is here, right? I saw Yvonne. There's Yvonne. Yvonne Flowers, mayor for the city of Poughkeepsie. Town of Poughkeepsie. In person, Rebecca Edwards. Thank you.
And also Ann Scherzen.
And Ann, all right, sorry, we got a whole cast there. Right? And then from the town of Hyde Park, we have Lynn. Welcome back. Thank you for being appointed, but you have Eric with you and
I'm Liz Musquita from Town of Hyde Park.
town of Hyde Park.
Ward
She's the
2.
primary.
You're the right.
Yes, I am.
I thought you were gonna be right.
Alternate.
You're the alternate now. I'm confused.
Maybe like-
We'll figure it out, right? Nobody from town of Esopus. Nobody, Russ is here as the alternate for the town of Lloyd. Hi, Russ. And Dutchess County, we have Devin presenting Dutchess County, and I don't see anybody from Amanda. No, Amanda's here.
Amanda's from Ulster
Amanda from
County.
Ulster County,
Yeah.
so that's great. We have a forum.
You know.
You're not. So, all right, so we won't be able to take tonight. I have to put all that stuff on. So.
Unless we can count 2 members from Hyde Park.
No.
Just putting it on the table.
No, that's not.
Okay.
Any chance to reiterate what the rules are for new members?
For which,
Just the in-person portion, is everyone aware?
well, so what we've talked about is for hybrid meetings, quorum has to be here at the official meeting place.
Someone's.
Right. Our bylaws say that,
We have a quorum.
there we go, Nick's here. Hey, Nick, welcome. Happy New Year.
Here. Sure.
Yeah.
Certainly.
All right, so in person, you have to be in person to vote if you're remote.
Yes.
Vote according to our bylaws. Okay, any questions about that? We now have a forum. And this is Nick from Congress.
And then also.
So it's a 9-member council and the quorum is 5 members in person. 5 including the counties.
We have a lot to go over tonight, so I want to keep
I'm
it.
sorry, 9.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from 11/16.
My portion.
I have a second.
Wow, we got a great new one.
Any discussion? All in favor, say.
Okay, I need to spell wrong. Please.
Oh.
Sorry. I'll fix it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Elizabeth, how about a treasurer's report?
How about it? We have $58,730.35 in our account. The city of Poughkeepsie and the town of Hyde Park are still unpaid as of today. We have paid our coordinator through January, and I just want to bring up the point that I'm expecting a $300 to $400 shortfall this year based on bank fees and having to pay for our server. So we have a $75,000 budget and $75,000 allocated to our coordinator, and we have nothing in excess to pay for bank fees, server, or any other unplanned miscellaneous expenses. That's it. Thank you.
I make motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented. Thank you, Lynn. Question? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'm gonna pull up my.
All right, Rebecca, you're up.
Okay, so I've prepared the consultant report this month. It's in your source materials. It's up on the website as well. Hudson 7 website. We'll pull it up here. So just just to save some time, what I can tell you overall is I've reorganized the report to reflect our goals. So you can see the tasks that are nestled within the goals. So you know that we're making progress on those things. I don't know how the council wishes to proceed. If you want to review it, if you have questions for me, if you want to ask us questions now, if you want to circle back around, because there's an awful lot of individual tasks. And then there's only one item that I would actually bring to your attention, which is the Hudson 7 motions document, which is something that we have now that outlines all of the motions that you've made and past or not since 2018. So it's easy for you to find what we've done and to date. And that's going to be put up on the website for the public and for all of you. And it all leads back to our minutes. So it's all just public information, just organized in a way so you can find what we've done in the past. Beyond that, I don't know if you have any questions.
I had a question about committees and things since we were coming and changing membership for this year and how that's gonna work.
So the way we if there's a project signed, like, let's just say, Anchorage committee, we agree and we vote on that we want to have a committee, and then we accept members and volunteers to participate in that meeting, and then we vote to accept them, and then that committee goes off and does the same. Okay, so more than welcome to. Yeah.
Okay, I see. There were some holes where there were people previously and
All the committees are on the website under the About side and the membership.
so anybody, if we're interested, new folks, we can pick out something that. we
Yeah,
might
you can,
wanna jump into
absolutely.
that conversation. Got it. Okay.
Come aboard.
Thanks.
So beyond the task, just the notable next steps that are big that we're working on and looking for.
Any questions? Usually we don't vote on this. This is just an informational report. Next is communications. There's a lot of communications. Rebecca usually summarizes them, but I'd really like to focus on two. That's Tracy, which I believe is online, and then Dan, I'll let you talk about your, right? Everybody else can read. Please go back and read any of the communications. We're not going to read them out loud. So Tracy, are you there?
That's okay. We don't have it. It's okay. We're gonna let Tracy in. Should we let So Tracy will speak during public comment. If Dan wanted to just briefly touch upon the item that he shared about wastewater
Sure.
and River Keepers Initiative.
So the governor, as you know, happens every year, has proposed her budget for the next year, and there are significant cuts that she proposed to the Clean Water Infrastructure Act and to the Hudson River Estuary Program, which is the local DEC program that supports a lot of initiatives that maybe the Hudson's. So I can't remember now if Hudson 7's access to any of those yet directly, but certainly the municipalities have. And it's likely to be an important source of the technical support and, grant funding for, the Riverkeeper is really going to bat to, work with the Senate and Assembly to, you know, reverse those cuts, but that, make sure that money's there for all the water infrastructure needs, as well as the Hudson, the DEC Hudson restoration program. And I should remember exactly what the cuts were. I think it was 125, 250,000 to, the estuary program and 250 million. Clean water infrastructure.
Yeah, I didn't think it was 250 for blue water. I thought it was less than that. I thought it was 100 million. That's the comp portion of it.
When you're talking about hundreds of millions, it's a lot.
So anyway, they're just fact checking because
Thank you.
one of the things we just wanted to do was probably to send a letter to the governor to back up what Dan is saying. I just want to make sure our facts are correct to do that. We do have a draft letter that we have up. If you want to show that.
We don't have it up yet. We
You
can,
don't have it up yet? All right.
now, if the council wants though to send a letter, we can share it with everyone.
I would like to do that.
And it's for clean water infrastructure and Hudson River funding in the executive budget.
So I think I clarified so I think, there was an announcement recently about money available right now for applications, and that is, that was 100 million less than what was offered at this time last year. But the
Right.
budget proposal is still a 250 million cut for next year. So the allocation annually has been 500 million for clean water infrastructure, and the proposal is 250 million, so half. The proposal. It is 250,000 for the Hudson River Restoration Program.
Do we know what that specifically, is it coming out of grants that they offer, or are they gonna be using staff?
I think probably, I mean, you know, we don't know until we know how they would budget for it. My conversations with the estuary program suggested probably not be staff, probably maybe less grants, but probably not a cut to the grant program completely. But they have some standing contracts. They also, the salt front study, I don't think would be jeopardized by this, but it's committed to, but that type of initiative where, you know, they're able to allocate money to do research that is sort of needed. And that's something that is directly benefiting from, not that the estuary programs paying the whole bill, but their component of it is allowing the study to model conditions for, future, you know, climate, how the climate change will affect the salt content of the river.
Estuary programs involved in so many projects in the area. It's like they've got their hands on everything. They're really great.
So we can motion any time, but I think I'd like to make a motion that the Hudson Seven send a letter to the governor to request that the cuts not be. Any discussion about that?
And to all of our reps, right?
Right.
All of our. Senators.
Yeah, I wanted to go to.
CC to anybody who represents any of our town.
Yeah.
Would it be helpful to know if any of our municipalities have applied for the water infrastructure grants and not gotten funded, or plan to apply for them? And, you know, in order to say that there's an unmet need in our area for those grants? I don't have the answer.
We've applied and got it, so
Yeah.
we're.
You're good, yeah.
There'll be more things you'll need to apply for within.
You need to send a communication to everyone to see?
I mean, if anyone wanted to chime in and say, yeah, we were really hoping to get that this year, like maybe that would be, or next year, it'd be helpful.
All right, so
We're talking about applying for what?
Water infrastructure grants?
Are those the WIA grants?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we did apply, Town of Quincy applied twice for water tanks. And it's never gotten them. So
There you
I know
go.
we have done WIA grants, and just meeting this afternoon, to try again, so yeah, we've not gotten them.
I mean, we've applied for wastewater and haven't gotten it. That doesn't.
Well, this would be both. Well, I mean, all of your wastewater plants discharge into the watershed, so I think it's all relevant.
Okay.
I'm just glancing, I mean, there's 33 listed, Poughkeepsie's listed 33 times in the wastewater list of projects. Yeah. Park's got a project, I mean, we could assemble a list at least of projects that are on the, what's called the intended use plan, which is, you know, where where the projects have been identified as a need, whether they're funded or not, that's is, you know.
All right, so let's keep moving. So we have a motion, we have a second. We have a second, Devin.
I did.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so we'll draft the letter, circulate it for comment. We'll post it, okay? Public comment.
Yeah, we have two, and maybe, I don't know, Charlie, if you want to address the council too or not, you're just because you're here. We'll let Tracy and,
We'll send Tracy first.
yeah, Tracy, Cynthia, and then,
To be clear, it's just if you had anything to say, you can say now, you don't have to. I don't-
Yeah.
One second, we were gonna have
Yeah,
somebody.
once again, I have to figure out, I'm still new with this. Let's see, how do I find the list of people?
oh, go to the top, all the way to the top. Hit your bar down, there you go. All the way to the participants.
Oh, man, it,
I would click on participants, yeah,
okay.
and then you can let them all in. Yep. Now it's a lot of juggling.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tracy, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm just unmuting and putting on the camera. Whoops. Camera's not cooperating there. Hello.
Hi, Tracy.
Oh, Cynthia, I don't know if you two are both talking about the same kind of, same issue, so I'm not sure if you're gonna tag team or not, but I would like you to just,
We will not repeat.
and kind of be as brief as possible.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm the chair of the Clean Air Action Network of Glens Falls, and for a couple of years, we've been trying to stop the first sewage sludge biochar plant in New York State. There are two threats to the Hudson River from this particular facility, which is now in the permitting stage. There were two public hearings last week, both with resounding opposition, 200 people at each of them. So the two threats are one, air emissions from the plant. The plant would burn in the absence of oxygen using the method called pyrolysis up to 720 tons of sewage sludge per day, 15% of the state's sewage sludge. It would be located in the town of Monroe on the west side of the Hudson River, across from Hudson Falls and Glens Falls. There are high levels of PFAS in sewage sludge, typically at concentrations 1,000 to 10,000 times the maximum contaminant level in drinking water. I imagine you're all familiar with PFAS, forever chemicals, and there's a maximum contaminant level of 10 parts per trillion in New York State has established. And EPA is in the process of establishing a lower limit. So air emissions, there is no, the company claims they would destroy most of the PFAS, but the DEC's draft permit says there could be up to 7 pounds emitted per year. And there would only be one air test per year, and only one of the 15,000 PFAS in New York, in existence has an air standard. Number two, the plant would discharge into the wastewater treatment, into the Glens Falls sewage system, 30,000 gallons of wastewater per day, and also wash water from washing the trucks that would transport the sewage sludge. So we're looking at potentially quite a burden on in the Hudson River of these PFAS chemicals. And there's a March 4th deadline on public comment to the DEC permits air, solid waste, and beneficial use determination. And we can provide a lot of additional materials and even some sample comments. We're working with Earth Justice, the public interest law firm, on this. And I think those are the main things that I need to say, and I'll pass it on to Cynthia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks again for having both of us here. I am simply a concerned citizen who lives in a neighboring town in Hudson Falls, New York. And the only thing I would add to Tracy's wonderfully succinct description of the situation is that just another example from the application, the DEC application from Saratoga Biochar in terms of emissions emitted into the air. This includes a long list including such things as arsenic, mercury, naphthalene, cadmium, hydrogen fluoride, and several others. And all of that can be found both on the resources that Tracy mentioned and also on Saratoga Biochar's own website. And I would also just very briefly add that a little bit of distrust personally in evaluating all the material. As a former professor of art, I love to study maps. And I noticed that on the Saratoga Biochar application, their mapping of potential sensitive receptors ignores 12 schools within 3 miles and ignores all the residential housing within 1 mile. So that's not even on their required map. So that's just information for your body to consider. And I really appreciate the time.
Thank you both. Any comments or questions? Okay, thank you both.
Is there an interest in sending a letter before the March 4th deadline about the potential impact or not?
So I think it's an important issue, but you guys can decide or not, but we've kind of limited our scope to our area of interest. Right, predominantly for production of clean water within the zone here. This is a little bit outside of our zone. I don't know, Dan, do you have a suggestion in terms of impact to our drinking water? Because I'm very blinder focused on impact to our drinking water.
Just thinking that if it's coming to the river in Glens Falls, then
Here.
it's coming here. So I don't know, but I don't know to what extent.
Right.
I'm new, so.
It's like the dilution of when we were dealing with the releases at the nuclear plant. It's an issue, major concern, major issue, but it's not an impact for us. It was downstream.
You know what I could do is, Assemblymember Kerry Warner, District 113, submitted comments. I could share those comments with the Hudson 7. So you can see what she had to say about it. And we can discuss it further if you'd like. I mean, I don't mind sending those around in any other draft language so you can see.
Well, we're not going to meet before then the March 4th deadline. So the question would be, do we want to draft the letter?
As a newcomer, I feel bad about differentiating between upstream and downstream, but upstream does come to us. Downstream, what's downstream does not come to us, but upstream comes to us. So I don't know whether
River flows that way.
we've drawn a somewhat lopsided map that includes areas of interest north of us, but maybe not to the south, or that's new to me, so.
Well, there is some science to it. Is that what you were about to say? In the sense that it is part of the source water protection planning, right? They're sort of scoping out what area of the river we should be concerned with as being, for different types of inputs being of most concern. So there is some science behind it. I don't want to get into a long discussion right now.
Science behind the blinders, the sort of saying we're gonna keep it more narrow, because otherwise
Blinders
we're
were,
gonna get.
in other terms, credibility of this group, you know, making sure that our comments are relevant to something that actually affects our water.
I mean, Riverkeeper's just been trying to look at this, and if Shannon's able, she has looked at it more than I have, and could maybe comment if there's a significant water risk here. I think most of the issues are more air clearing it locally, than the big. Although it is true that anything that passes through the sewage plant is not going to get a lot of treatment for sewage.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. I went through and I looked at the permit drafts for the facility to get a sense for how they operate and try to figure out what the water impacts would be. So there's a couple things. One is that they use It's referred to as a sulfur dioxide wet scrubbing system, which is basically an air filter, but it uses water. So there's a wastewater that is generated when they are filtering the air emissions, and that wastewater will typically contain heavy metals and other kind of emerging organic contaminants, could include PFAS, nitrogen, all kinds of different chemicals that would be going out in air are now getting captured in this water, and that wastewater is slated to go to the City of Glen Falls wastewater treatment plant. So that's sort of one route into the water matrix. The second route into the water matrix would be through the air emissions themselves. So specifically with PFAS, we have a number of studies have shown that there is both wet and dry deposition. So in other words, what goes up must come down, so that air pollution will settle out on the ground either via gravity or in wet deposition via rain. And so the PFAS that's being emitted through the air will land, and it will land. What we've seen is that it's a pretty localized spread. So there's the potential for these chemicals to enter water systems that way. There's also some wastewater that's generated, I think, Tracy mentioned, through in hosing down the trucks that bring the sludge. Let me see the last thing. So those would be sort of the three main mechanisms. One would be wastewater generated from the air filter that go to the wastewater treatment plant in Glen Falls. There'd be the wet and dry deposition, the localized pollution deposition that would be around tributaries and in river systems. And then there'd be some additional wastewater generated cleaning those trucks. And again, that's going to the City of Glen Falls wastewater treatment plant.
So do we know, is there an existing infrastructure in place to pump the treated water across the river? Because my understanding is that this plant is proposed for Saratoga County. Monroe is on the other side of the river from Glens Falls, right? So how are they are they putting it under the river, or?
So they're putting the wastewater, I believe, into the sewer system and going to the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, I'm confused because I think the sewer system, like Glens Falls system, is on one side of the river and Monroe is on the other side of the river, right?
I'm not sure. There wasn't that level of detail in the permit, so I can't speak to that, unfortunately.
I just was wondering if they were going to be putting any kind of piping or things through the river or under the river. If that's another concern about, if there's a breach or something, now this is, before it's even treated, getting spilled right into the river.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the construction, but that'd be a concern, if that's the case.
I think we need to do some more work to decide whether we ever. I mean, I made a DWSP2, the source water protection plant, that lights our map. This is outside of our map.
And it sounds like there's always been a conversation. This is helpful for me to understand the conversation about how much to keep the focus rather than going too broad. There's not a sense here that this is a huge impact on us. It's more localized there.
Part of that's because it's going to be so diluted by the time it gets to us.
Essentially, I mean, if it was right next door, I'd be more concerned. I mean, I think if the Hudson 7 wanted to say something, I think the issue of discharging waste through sewage treatment plants, taking industrial waste to go to the sewage treatment plant is an issue. Glens Falls also has a combined sewer system, so I wonder if hopefully they are thinking about that and the waste is going direct to the plant. But if not, then it would go to the combined system and overflow in a rainstorm. So, a letter that just, I think similar to what you did with Indian Point, where you could say, we're concerned about types of pollution in the river. We don't think this is going to directly affect us, but on principle, we're concerned about things. It would be something you could do, and kind of do that sort of stance. That as much as I know.
We're gonna keep moving here, but we want to draft that.
Yeah.
Volunteer to draft it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll draft the letter and then circulate it and send, okay?
Need to
All,
vote?
all in favor, I make a motion to draft the letter, do I have a second?
Second.
Maybe like all in favor, say aye.
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 Great.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna get on to old business, the 501(c)(3) process. One of the things that happened last time is bills come in, they don't come in at a time for us to approve them, so, we had a bill come in late from the county, for us to approve, right, for Mackie Bucks, for the lawyer.
We had an invoice from Mackie Butts, who is, Ian McDonald is our lawyer for the work that we're doing to look at structural, or a 501(c)(3) structure. And his bill came in following our November meeting. So we had to get that paid so that Dutchess County we could close their budget for the year. And so we did, and now we just need the council's approval. This is retroactively, which is unusual.
So I make a motion to approve retroactively the last bill. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Devin, you wanna give an update on anything for the
So I was just,
county?
yeah, I was just gonna share with everyone. So we have an existing contract with the county on behalf of the Hudson Seven. We set aside $19,999 to be used for legal expenses. So that's what we're using to pay Ian. That contract is set to run March 19th of 2023 through March 18th of 2024. So, it sounds like we're not gonna be quite there in another month, so I'm proposing that we extend that contract through the remainder of the year and have a sunset at the end of December. So that's my proposal, and I just wanted to see if everyone else agreed with that.
We're definitely not gonna be here.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So I'll make sure on my end that gets extended on behalf of the council.
Do you need any approval for any of this?
If you wanna make a motion to extend it, you can.
Does anybody disagree? I don't think you would disagree.
Okay.
All right, from an organizational standpoint, as Devin has referred to, there's a committee that's made up of myself, Dan, Emily, Rebecca, Russ, and Devin that we're reviewing all of this, and we're not to any point where we really have consensus on the direction. We have many directions, and we're all still focusing on doing that. Anybody's welcome to join and participate in the discussion, but it's ongoing. We have another meeting to set up.
Yeah, I think the goal for the committee is to get to the point where they can advise, put something on the table for the Hudson Seven to discuss and consider and eventually approve.
Dottie, are you gonna talk about
Sure.
DCB and where we are in terms of EPA?
Well, they are, EPA is going to, in the early part of 2024, release a 5-year report on the status of the dredging up north. And there will be a public comment period right after the release. Basically, please add stuff because I'm not sure I remember. But they're reviewed the floodplain analysis that was done, and that the results were varied, but for the most part, results were less than 5 ppm in those floodplains. The habitat reconstruction monitoring that they're doing is taking a little bit longer than we had expected, and that many areas still are in their benchmark stages. They have not reached their success criteria, and they've had very different challenges like high flows, year-to-year variability, invasive species. So they're still working on trying to get that habitat to come back. There is going to be a lower river investigation study that's going to begin. I can't remember when they said that starting, but they're going to be
that. They want that.
Yeah, so that's a really good thing because they'll be investigating the PCB concentrations in the lower part of the river. So.
Yeah. Well, it's the, Dottie, did you introduce yourself by the
No,
way?
I am Dottie DeNobili. I am the lab director here at Poughkeepsie Water Plant. And
Right. And also Shannon, you had spoken and didn't introduce yourself, just so we,
Sure,
Just-
sorry about that. I'm Shannon Roback. I'm the science director at Riverkeeper.
so we, Dottie and Randy serve on the Hudson River PCB Community Advisory Board, the CAG. group, sorry. And the EPA has just appointed members in the lower portion of the Hudson. So the Hudson 7 now sits on the CAG. Dutchess County sits on the CAG. And so they're getting ready to release this draft third 5-year review. And we have both Dottie and Randy Allstat, who is another technical advisor for us. They're at the helm and bringing information back to council. That's all I would add. Thank you, Dottie. You. They meet quarterly. Definitely. I don't know, Devin, anything else to add there?
I found the last meeting to be hyper focused, a lot on the northern part. They were talking a lot about the canal system up running through Saratoga and Washington. So for some of the meeting, I kind of was like, "Is it about the lower Hudson or not?" But I think we're gonna get there. It'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Thanks for serving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only other thing on that, Gary, is we talked a little bit about whether or not in preparation for this 5-year review, the Hudson 7 wants to do any communications on PCBs and drinking water. In the case there's any questions that come up for the Hudson 7, that was for you, Dan, to think about, all of us, but I'm looking at you just to say, maybe just to be proactive and plan ahead in case the public has questions or concerns about PCBs. Dottie.
Yeah.
We're all-
I mean, general, I just do the layman's version of like, they stick to mud. And they wait and fish, so the big concern is with eating fish, not drinking water. But yeah,
Something
we
to
probably do
consider.
it a little more time.
Just for everybody, Rebecca, that you know, that's PCBs, that's our general line.
Is that they're not connected, that the drinking water connection is not, it means that it's a significant concern, but Hudson 7 has a different focus.
Let's keep it along. Paul, can you give us a brief update on anything on the lead copper rule?
Yes, the lead copper improvement rule was approved on November 30th of this year. That supplements the rule that was originally made in 1991. And this rule is going to lower the lead action level from 15 to 10. All lead copper lines have to be replaced within 10 years. You have to take a sample at 1 liter and 5 liters now. And all the lead and copper results have to be reported to the residents within 3 days. Also, the initial survey of determining where lead lines are is due on October 16th of this year. It's basically just a paper study, and but it's still due on the 24th of next year. The other thing is that, I've spoken to Rich DePilco, who's doing the lead and copper rule for the city, and he's already replacing lines. He's already gotten a grant for that. And he really is putting priorities on which lines should be replaced, like lines to schools, to people that have children under 5 years old. So he's doing a pretty good job on what you have to do. So keep him in mind.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul Melrose is our technical advisor for engineering.
Paul, do you want to continue to talk about the salt front?
Sorry, could I just chime in real quick?
On the salt front, back in 2021, I called up DEC and asked them, have you looked at what the effects would be with the ocean rising due to climate change? What would that do to the salt front? And they said, we definitely think something's gonna happen, but we haven't done any study. So after a couple of years, this past, what I did was I got many of the experts around the state involved in this. We developed a scope of work. We gave it to DEC, and DEC took about a year to come up with a scope with USGS, which is United States Geological Survey Group, and DEC decided to use give $500,000 for doing this study. What it's going to be is the study is just going to determine where the salt front is during droughts and other periods of time. And then we have to start, once we know where the salt front is going to be, we're going to have to see how it affects the plants and also how it affects plants and how it affects the water treatment plants. So that's quick summary.
Thank you. Dan. Hudson.
Yeah,
Any updates?
just what's here that, they are expecting maybe late this year that there could be a new plan, for the, and I don't know, if you've heard it more, but I reached out to DEC. And, yeah, I think they're still just trying to figure out how to engineer something that will remove the contamination, but not, drink water.
For everybody's awareness, there's a 7-acre site south of the plant here that has coal tar in it, so it needs to be removed. And I think the Hudson 7 deserves a lot of credit for getting that stopped initially because the process was flawed. All right. Paul, cybersecurity.
And cybersecurity, that's becoming a really hot issue lately. This is problems due to ransomware, disgruntled employees, or even foreign countries or domestic extremist groups could disrupt the American infrastructure. And this has already happened at water treatment plants. So New York State initiated rules back in 2018, and EPA recently in March of last year issued requirements for they want the states to issue more strict regulations. And most recently, the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency that's working with EPA found that some of the PLC controllers, which are now controlling most of our water treatment plants, are being hacked. And so they usually send out notices. But that's just one thing that we have to be much more aware of, because all our plants are now being controlled by, automated and computers and all that. So it's very important. That's it.
Sorry, one quick thing. Grant tried to jump in. I don't know.
I know, I saw it. Grant, you tried to, you want to make a comment? You have your hand up?
Sure, yeah. Hey folks, this is Grant Jang. I think I'm still a technical advisor on source water stuff. So I put in the chat, there is an upcoming webinar regarding EPA's guidance for developing and maintaining a lead service line inventory. This is a webinar series that's generally tailored to smaller water systems, but it may be beneficial to some of the Hudson 7 water systems. And also water systems within your municipalities. And then the other thing is to add on to what Paul said. So there was the memorandum for states to assess cybersecurity in public water systems through sanitary surveys. And then EPA got sued for that. And so that is currently not in effect. So there is currently not a provision on EPA or the state's side to assess cybersecurity in a formal measure. I expect that there's going to be some rulemaking or other guidance that comes out. I don't want to say soon because it's government time, but in the pipes, in the works.
Thanks, Grant.
Gary, I just got one potential clarification. Paul, going back to the lead in pipes, the public comment period for the proposed rule opened in November of 2023, but the notice for public comment, the public comment period is closed on February 5th. Is that right? You're muted.
Paul.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
So the rule is not final yet.
no, it's not final.
I guess that's the key thing.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta keep moving. I got 12 minutes. So, Mike, can you give us a brief update in like 2 minutes? You there, Mike?
Yep.
I'd have said ahead of time that he was traveling or something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a DWSP2 meeting that's set up, right, or being set up now. Continue your work. Mike Forging is from New Epic, and he is technical advisor of these in charge.
CWSB2 is drinking water source protection.
Okay, let's talk Hudson River anchorages.
Yep, just an update. So we met with Heather Gearloff, who is the Hudson 7 Anchorage Committee was set up last year to address the anchorage issue. And one of the things we did was meet with Heather Gearloff, who's the Hudson River Program Supervisor and Estuary Coordinator at the DEC, Hudson River Estuary Program, to discuss how we can work collaboratively, the Hudson 7 and the DEC, as it pertains to anchorages and drinking water and critical habitat. It was a good meeting. We also are working with Drew Gamels, who's the staff attorney at Riverkeeper, who's doing research right now on model RNAs, which is also the regulated navigation areas and petitions. So that she's put into the Coast Guard looking for RNAs submitted over the last 5 years to get a better understanding of the arguments that the Coast Guard wants petitioners to make when they apply for an RNA, which is something Hudson 7 is interested in. When she has those models, we'll schedule another Anchorage meeting and continue to discuss the Anchorage bulletin from November. There isn't any other updates since that time, so we're in holding period pattern and plan.
Thank you. My new business. So briefly brought up the discussion of meetings. We want to meet again. And the question is Wednesdays, second Wednesday of the month at 5. I'm proposing that to be for this organization. Are you good with that or not good with that?
So the reason why it's potentially changing is because that's the best night. There are no town meetings, village meetings, city meetings, council meetings, so that more of the primary members can attend. I don't know about county.
We are having trouble getting out. Sometimes everybody can, but just all busy.
That's okay.
Would you question third? Oh, so it is possible that there may be second, there may be workshops, workshop that will be set. Oh, yeah, so.
There's
Here for an hour, nothing's gonna be perfect. So.
There's always a meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll do the best we can.
My rule is there's always a meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
I know there's a meeting next month on the second Monday, second Wednesday, Phil. It starts at 7, so we'll just come here and say as long as we can.
Our goal is to keep these meetings pretty concise, get through it, so we can all.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion that we change the meetings for Hudson 7, starting with next month to the second Wednesday of each month at 5 p.m. Here at the Kids Walk here. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Done. Thank you very much.
So Rebecca, you'll update the invite for us?
Yes, that's why we only have one before I started using the.
And as you see, we're live streaming and uploading, so there was discussion that we were gonna stop doing live stream because we started that during the COVID period, but thank you. It doesn't seem to be an issue, so.
Well, I can't live stream and be here in person, and I'd like to be here in person. So Dottie is making it possible for me to be here in person, so thank you.
Okay. That's change over staff, right? Or organization, so I'd like to thank those people who were always part of the meeting from the time we started. Previous former supervisor for town Poughkeepsie, Jay Baisley. Previous supervisor, town of Isoka, Shannon Harris. Bill Carlos, who was on the town of Poughkeepsie Water Drinking Board. and former Mayor Mark Nelson, and Bill O'Neill from Dutchess County. So I'd like to thank them for their time and their service for helping Hudson 7 during their tenure. Now, I'd like to welcome the new members, all right? Which is really, really great that we can continue, and that's what's great about this organization, is being able to continue and have this structure in place. So primary members, I'm gonna just go in the order I have on my list. On the screen, we have Yvonne Flowers from the city of Poughkeepsie. Thank you, Yvonne. We have Rebecca Edwards, town of Poughkeepsie. Thank you. And Sue Serino, who is the primary for Dutchess County, and, you know, Devin's the voice. And then alternate members, Liz, I'm sorry, yeah, we didn't have.
Oh, Liz, I have Liz as a.
Yeah, we
as
have
a
you as an alternate.
That's my error.
It's not primary, and that's primary now.
For Liz.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Liz. Okay, and now alternates, I had a vacancy in the village of Rhinebeck and have appointed trustee Vanessa Bertozzi. In the town of Rhinebeck, Elizabeth has appointed Chad, I can never pronounce Chad's like Glitch.
Kite.
Right, thank you. And town of Hyde Park, Elizabeth. Right there, but you're gonna be primary.
Right. You're primary too on the website, so that's just a mistake on the agenda.
And what do we have here? Town board member, Richard. Where's Richard?
Richard is in the city of Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, okay, as an alternate. And you're on, all right, town board member for also for the town of Poughkeepsie. And so thank you all for joining us. Looking forward to having you all here present and getting involved in the Hudson 7 organization. All right, moving on. Now it's time to elect members. All right, I'd like to propose a slate for the Hudson 7. And I'm gonna propose the whole slate and then we can have discussion, but I'd like to propose for the chair. I'd like to remain chair, if that's okay. So I'd like to propose myself, Gary Bassett, village mayor of village of Rhinebeck, vice chair, Devin for the county of Dutchess County, and treasurer, secretary Lynn stepped up, right? Thank you, Lynn, and treasurer Elizabeth. I'd like to make a motion to accept those as the operating members for the officers for the Hudson 7. I have a second. Second. Thank you. Anybody have any alternates or any other suggestions? Hearing none, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the slate as presented. All in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's raising her hand. Oh, right,
Oh,
clapping her hand.
Thank you. And congratulations and thank you to everybody.
Can I just help get a little understanding about alternate members? So,
Sure.
primary members vote, alternate members do not vote unless the primary vote member is missing and then they vote. Is that correct? Just check it.
Yep. Absolutely. You can have 7 times. Busy.
And there's usually one alternate for each town.
Yes, yes, that's the way the bylaws are set up. One primary, one alternate. It's also the way our technical advisors are set up. We're allowed one per municipality. So
For now.
today we have 7,
We have
7 or 8. We have 8 technical advisors kind of
Well,
working with us all.
and water operators.
And what, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like
Included in that.
one open slot right now for that. So just everybody's awareness.
Is that one per town?
Well, we said 1 per municipality, but that doesn't have to be 1 per town.
I see.
No.
It's
equal to the number.
equal to the number of, not.
Equal to,
of.
yes, that's
Okay,
good.
got it.
And over time, that's kind of grown and has evolved and it's been fantastic because I'll be honest with you, we couldn't do what we do without them. Thank you all. Doing that. All right,
the subject of technical advisors, can I suggest that we make Shannon the technical advisor? Is that, maybe that didn't make it on the agenda?
Well, I thought the DWS
Oh, right.
was gonna discuss it.
Yeah,
for you.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're
It's
right.
part of the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, okay, so, thanks.
yeah, no problem.
We already discussed the motions document.
Yeah.
Rebecca mentioned that.
Yeah.
Village water treatment plant. Well, this is something we've always wanted to do. We've wanted to get our arms around these guys as much as possible, right? That our water treatment plants, to have them an active participant in, as Nick has been in our organization. We want to get the rest of them. There's 5 water treatment plants. You know, we've been so fortunate to have Dottie and Randy as part of us, part of this group, and Nick.
Nick, did you introduce yourself?
Nick Butler, Port Huron Water Superintendent.
Yeah.
So,
So we want to try to keep fostering that organization of the water treatment operators. The original goal of the Hudson 7 was, when Dan and I met at the banks of the Roundhouse in 2018, was, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could all get together and talk about what we're doing? Right, and it kind of evolved and developed from there. So it really started on that premise of looking for water plant operators as well. And then it evolved into, now we represent 100,000 people. You know, so it's kind of cool. So to make that more formal, we want to kind of propose, and Becca and Randy and I have been discussing that we'd like to kick off basically a committee that works, that meets regularly at the water treatment plant. We can have the kickoff in May to do that. So I don't know if, to me, this is like part of our message that we're going to try to do. And I'm just going to say that this is something, an action we're going to take. And we're going to encourage, I know Nick talks to my water treatment plant and others of them as well. You know, and as Randy does, and Hyde Park, it's a little bit different with Hudson County Wastewater Authority, but we've established some inroads that really makes it great. So it's kind of really great. We had Russ, you know, from the town of Lloyd and so we're going to try to formalize that. Okay, that's really about all there is to that. I don't think there's anything on old business we need to discuss.
I think there was somebody saying that he could now do a report, he was having some issues, we can't hear from them.
Was that?
Also, I noticed that EM.
Oh, Mike's there.
Not on the agenda. Is there anything that needs to be discussed about the Chippy?
Next month,
That's next month?
yeah. And, we're working on some onboarding materials for new members, just, FAQs and all the projects with timelines of things. To help, you know, everybody wrap their minds around the work that we've done and what have you. And the bylaws are not very long, but if it would be helpful to create a one sheet, I mean, we've got so much to create over time, with this infrastructure work that we're doing, but I'd be happy to map out some of those key points. That would be helpful for new members, so you don't have to go and read, I mean, the bylaws, like I said, they're not hard. Whatever you need to, you know, get acclimated in. So we'll have some good materials for you next month to help you.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. Have a second? All in favor, say aye. Thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
And I know some members have to go, but Charles, if you wanted, we didn't have a chance to hear from you earlier. If you wanted to say a few things, what people.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad you really appreciate it. I'm with the group of nonprofit funding group called Cornwall Cleanup Group. Pick up trash around the area of the Cornwall Hudson. I'm very thankful to be a part of this meeting. I've learned a lot. I think our relations went a lot for you guys. One thing that I think all brought up, you know, was those lead cables that leach water we have to clean up, assigned to clean up those lead cables in our town. March 2nd. So we're actively trying to do what we can in our area. I love that this is multiple towns and communities that come together to really talk about what you can do together. That's, I think, something
Thank you.
we all strive for. Proud.
And Dan, Charles was hooked up with Katie
Oh, good.
first week. Because there's like 20 or so volunteers in your group.
Yeah, we have 20 to 40 regular volunteers as well as, you know, local schools that come out. The organization You got like every it's not trash days and days and you celebrate our 1 year anniversary.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
I gotta run.
See you, Gary.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for being here. Bye. And
Now I got it.